I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is approval of minutes for 12/16.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. NOI 1672, 492 Sutton Street, requested continue till February 27th.
January 27th, Mr. Chairman.
January.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. That doesn't matter, right? Where's continued, but we don't have a quorum? Okay. Right.
I think we determined it's a quorum of the members present, but if we were
That's
voting, you'd have to have
You'd
four.
have to have a quorum for the vote, but we're fine.
For purpose of continuance, yes. Yeah.
Next order of business, 242, 1669, 265 Summer Street.
All right, so this has been continued for 2 meetings. Oh my goodness, we don't have the screen on. What were we thinking?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Keep you warm, huh?
I don't even know.
Keep you warm. It's a big old fat one.
How do we turn on the screen?
Surprised this place isn't that old. Did they have an old TV?
I have it all here.
Yeah, I know.
Should be a remote somewhere. Nobody's done it besides the school committee. They got everything figured out.
Is it 10, which one is it? Co-meeting room or 108
Right there.
Apple TV? Sorry. Do you know which connection I want?
I'm pretty sure it's Chromecast, but.
No, I don't have Chromecast. I have Apple, so it's Apple TV. That's
Definitely in violation.
I need the Apple
We should do
TV.
we should do a
No,
site
they don't
visit.
have the Apple
Absolutely.
TV here anymore?
Absolutely.
Let me
All that's
try.
required is a cooler.
There might be an Apple TV set up, but
You know, I could stay there.
I don't know how
I'd just
to-
beach it. I wouldn't even bother anchor.
So-
I'd just beach it right
I'll
now.
look into this.
Beautiful.
Co-meeting room? Oh, because we used it last time I was here.
Yeah, we did.
Use an Apple TV?
Yeah,
You did?
I did, because I called to make sure it was set up.
No, it's on that thing.
Chromecast, TV, Apple TV
Apple TV.
on,
No signal.
What do we have? Video, audio and no video?
I don't know which one it is. I remember we used it last time, and now
I
I...
can't remember.
so there's Chromecast, there's Apple TV, HDMI,
Apple.
your Wi-Fi, so you're already on the school department's network?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's 3 different HDMIs.
That's you on your remote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that controlling the TV
This-
though? This guy?
That should be controlling the signal between it, but this is HDMI 2, this TV.
There you go.
Oh, okay, yeah, you switched to Apple TV. It's cool. So
There it is.
I just need to figure out which
Co-meeting
connection we're on.
Co-meeting room. Come a long way since the DPW garage.
Oh, I know.
I
You
know.
remember those meetings?
Co-meeting
Yeah,
room.
it's like-
Actually,
It
the
won't
big-
allow mirroring. It keeps
the basement of
asking
the
me
old
for an
town hall
AirPlay
was the most
password.
fun.
Oh, 5205. There we go.
You were still in grade school.
I might have been.
Here we go. This should be it. Woohoo! All right. Persevere.
Well done.
Here we go. Getting our plan up there. Oh, plan letter. Great.
That's the thing.
Revised plan. Here we go.
So we
All right.
really submitted 2 letters since the last time I was here.
Yeah.
One was following the last meeting I was at. We were asked to make a few changes to the plan. One of the main changes was we added a temporary stockpile area out near the street. You can see it. It's a circle up there in the top left. And as a result, we extended the erosion controls a little bit just to encompass that area. We also lowered the corner of the turnout for the garage by just about a foot. It's it's 2/100ths shy of a foot, and that's, as Lou recommended, it's just going to allow more water to get away from the garage doors. By doing so, we had to modify the contours, which pushed out the erosion control slightly. But it wasn't a substantial change. It's all within existing lawn area. No trees or shrubs are coming down as a result of that. And then we talked a little bit about two other items. They were proposing bollards out near the street. And we were under the impression that the landscape architect had talked to the DPW, because she told us she did. I think she did, but there was a miscommunication. Long and short of it is DPW does not want bollards in the right-of-way, but they were okay with the cobblestone apron. So that's still shown on the plan, but the bollards have been removed. The other item we did, we talked about portions of the driveway may not needing to be excavated as much as the rest of it. That's based on a site walk from a contractor. I'm hoping he's right, but we'd like to get permission, if we have to rework the entire driveway, just in case the need arises. So we were originally going to try to separate that portion of the driveway that we thought was going to be able to stay, but we'd like to propose to rework the entire thing within the same footprint, with the exception of the bump out down at the bottom. That hasn't changed since the last meeting. And the only other item was the erosion controls were pushed back behind the house to the edge of woods for the most part, just to give access around the house with a bobcat if need be. The fear is that the septic system in the front yard, they don't want to compromise that during construction. So we'd like the ability to access around the house if they need to. Let's see. Oh, and the stone apron at the entrance to the driveway. It was moved a little bit since the last plan. It was moved a little bit further down the driveway and made slightly larger by probably about 4 or 5 feet.
I didn't get a planting list for the landscape plan. And, I mean, it's all garden areas, so I'm not proposing that they all be native, but I want to make sure she's not proposing anything problematic.
Yep, and I'm sure she'd be more than willing to submit a plant list to you. They're still fine-tuning some of those details.
Okay. Maybe we could condition it as prior to start of work or something like that.
If that's acceptable, that would be great.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about the trade-off. We're making the driveway slightly larger in the no disturb and no build, but we're also removing the same amount of square footage from another portion of the driveway, so there is no increase in impervious, but some of it is slightly closer to the resource area.
Al, any questions?
No questions.
Joe?
So you subscribe to the Randy Christensen theory that we're going to add a little more there, but take it away elsewhere, so it's a net, even though we're closer, it's a net benefit?
Well, I don't think it's going to be any worse, and certainly if it is worse, it would be an immeasurable amount. It's
When you say rework the driveway, do you mean tear up the asphalt, regrade it, and repave it?
Yeah.
So not just an overlay, which is why you've extended the erosion controls out?
Yeah, it looks like whoever constructed the driveway didn't do a good job. They didn't remove what they were supposed to. It's settling in the wrong spots. It's heaving.
Full depth reconstruction, their entire driveway, if that's the case.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're anticipating for probably 3/4 of it.
Okay, but you've extended the erosion controls up anyway, so regardless of what you do there, you're protecting, that work.
Yeah, they go all the way up to the stockpile area and all the way around the house.
In the stockpile area, that's currently lawn area?
It's all lawn, yeah.
All lawn?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all set.
No questions.
Myself, I would suggest you were asking to remove the whole driveway instead of coming back for modification.
They already are.
They already are.
They just changed that.
Okay.
Yeah, we were going to try to
It's
draw a line and say we're going to only work to here, but who knows what's under
You're
there.
going to have a joint, and it's going to crack.
Okay.
So, the best guy in the world, you're going to have a crack.
So we'll strongly recommend that even if they think they can salvage a
Right.
portion.
And you're
they
saying
work
breaking
on it.
apart, what's happening is you're getting the tire tracks and the crown in the middle.
Exactly.
Okay. So, I would say to the applicant, I would suggest that they do the whole drive. I mean, this is an expensive proposition here.
Right.
I mean, it's only what? How much more?
It's probably 130 feet.
Long, more?
Yeah, well, total length from Summer Street to the turnaround.
Well, no, I'm talking,
Half again as much as what they were originally thinking to do.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
so you're talking, you're trying to save 50 feet of driveway?
Right.
No, you're talking less than $1,000.
Do the whole thing. Yeah, I'm sure they're watching.
Hopefully I'm not aggravating the contractor that's
No.
doing the work.
No, they'd rather do it once and do it right.
Yeah,
I'm not doing your driveway, you're doing our driveway.
there you go.
We prefer that also, Greg.
Right.
Yeah.
Just do it one time.
They're learning a lot through this whole experience.
Yeah, well, we do that every week here, just.
That's why I'm only suggesting that just because it'll crack.
Yeah.
When you put old against new, never works.
Yep.
Right, Joe? Okay.
And I think we had talked briefly at the last meeting about monumentations, since they have just those little posts in the ground.
Yep.
Are they amenable to bigger posts, or
They
do they
are.
want to choose what's going to be there? Because I think they need better monumentation. They're sort of landscaped right up to the edge of the wetland. There's a little bit of a buffer. I mean, this was all approved when the house was built. It's been the same. Nothing's changed out there. Just
They've
sort of-
respected the line since they moved in fact, they've kept all the discs in place.
Yep. But they're just on sort of non-permanent stakes at the moment.
I wasn't here when this opened. What is the basic project? Is it a landscaping project?
Yeah.
It's not an addition, right?
No, it's-
Driveway drainage and
The
landscaping.
driveway's graded toward the garage.
Yeah.
Did we grant a waiver for this yet?
So to Jed's point is...
Did we
if the
vote on
basic-
the waiver?
Pretty sure.
I think we did vote on the waiver
I
at
just
the
don't remember
last
if we
meeting.
granted a waiver or not, because if we didn't, you'll need one.
Yeah, Jed, I asked that question in the context that I completely agree with what you just said. Since the basic project is landscaping is something that we probably want to get better monumentation on.
Right. I agree with that, too.
To require, what, wooden posts or granite if they wanted to do something fancier.
You had to save it a bunch of money in the ballots.
I mean, it's a big field, if you know it.
What would be the most
What
appropriate?
is it, the meadow?
monument?
Yeah, it's a meadow.
Back here.
Yeah, and the meadow is, I think there's some sort of a maintenance plan where
I
it's
think
cut
they mow
every
it.
year or twice a
Yeah,
year.
once a year.
I think wooden posts probably would look better and be just as effective.
Whatever, there's no violation, right?
No.
There's no violation there, so it's not going to require what we would normally
I think a wooden post is okay.
with
With the discs and
with discs.
markers.
Yeah.
Okay, I can condition that.
All right.
So, and you're sure there's a waiver already in place, Jen?
I thought I had, I don't know, because you were changing the plan, so I would vote the waiver again. Doesn't hurt to do that.
Well, in case we already did it, this will be duplication, but I'll move that we grant a waiver for the purpose of the driveway project, for the project.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
And then it would be to close an issue.
Anybody, I'll move that we close an issue in 21 days.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
All set. Thank you. Next one is 242-1673, 22 Hartway Road.
Oops.
This was a 4-week meeting continuance issue, so this is close an issue as well.
On Hackaway?
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next one is 242-1671, 2302 Turnpike Street, requested continue to January 27th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay. General business, we have a couple of...
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Okay.
January 24th.
All right.
We have, continue, 242-1620 COC request for 179 Osgood Street, requested continue to January 27th.
So moved.
Have a second?
Joseph.
Second, which one? $179?
1620, 242, 1620.
Okay, we're just taking them out of order, getting rid of the continuances.
Yep.
Okay,
The
gotcha.
guardrails started, we talked about at the last meeting, but not done yet, so.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right, top of the list, 242-683, PCOC request for 33 Wayland Circle.
Heidi said, house and yard well outside the buffer zone, recommends granting PCOC. Lot 33, 33 Wayland, Lot 12B only.
Motion.
Lot 12B only, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-475, PCOC request, 79 Huckleberry Lane.
Heidi says non-jurisdictional. Recommends.
Still requires PCOC?
Yep.
This is a ditto.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-1169, COC request for 2357 Turnpike Street, the Meadows.
I can summarize now, but the Meadows is trying to close out, which is mostly just Phase 3. We did kind of go through and, we already reviewed the stormwater and the compliance of the Phase 1 and 2 buildings and detention basins, but we went back and looked at maintenance, mitigation areas, that sort of thing. But in Phase 3, there were some issues with the plan, things that weren't on it, and some issues with erosion control still in the field and that sort of thing. So we're pretty close, but not there yet. So 1169, 1180, and 1447 will need to continue.
Okay.
Jim, do you think?
I'm going to move to continue all three
127.
in the same motion.
Sure.
1169, 1180, and 1447. Are we continuing to the
Yeah,
next meeting?
127,
January
yep.
27th for all three.
Second it.
I seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
now.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous. The Tour Street now.
You may have a problem.
That's what I'm saying. We're on a-
Yeah.
Well, the request is to continue anyway.
Oh, okay.
Everything is done.
I'm going to maintain a quorum, and I'm just going to abstain from the vote.
Okay, so because it's tied to enforcement and fines, I just want everyone to know that he is and has complied. I have the recorded homeowners association, which also references the order of conditions, so it's kind of like the Form A and the homeowners all in one.
Was this the one that we had a homeowner that was
Yeah,
Was
one.
incommunicado?
I'll hold out.
Yeah.
And we can get to that because she did sign, but we can release that.
Okay.
We can release all this and actually issue them COCs and
We don't have
PCOCs
a
by the
quorum to
next
vote on anything.
meeting. Well,
Yeah.
the one thing that happened is I got the report on the final work on the detention basin today. I would like to go out and just confirm that in the field. I have no reason to doubt that it's done, but I would like to go see it. And then we can wrap all this up at the next meeting. But just so no one's concerned that it's dragging out and he hasn't complied, I have everything I need.
Okay.
I do just want to confirm everything out there. So just this,
So I'll move we continue to
Continue.
January 27th for 242-1601.
You have a second?
I need Doug to second because Joe's going to abstain.
Yeah.
All those in
Thank you.
favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
One abstention.
One
One
abstention. Okay, so we have discussion. 242-634 Oxbow Colonial Subdivision.
so I sent around a letter from council about trying to get this subdivision closed out. This would be the first of probably a couple of these. We have some big subdivisions with large bond amounts still being held. We know no one's coming probably to complete these, so there's a process we have to go through to try to get them closed out with both conservation and planning. It could involve seizing the bond, but first steps are to do some potential tax title taking of what was supposed to be in the open space, since no one's paying taxes on those lands. And council's letter also recommended giving notice to the heir of the owner that they have an opportunity to close this out and retrieve the bond, or that we will take steps if it's not done in a period of time to do that. They would draft that letter.
If my memory serves me correctly, the last time we seized a bond, prior to the motion to seize the bond, we had to have evidence of failure to perform.
Right.
And we had to have an estimate, a rough estimate of the cost to complete or close out on our side. because we did a bond taking where we did exactly that. We closed out a project. Then there was another project where we wanted to do a bond taking, but the bond was inadequate. That's the one, yeah, to close it out, so we took no action.
Right.
So on this one, unless something's changed, I think...
Well, we're not voting to seize the bond. All we're doing
Well,
is
not yet, but
voting
we need
to...
What are we voting on?
Well, we're voting just to follow council's recommendation to notify the heir of the owner of the property, since we know
Does
that.
that require a vote?
I think so, because it's a course of action that the commission's going to take that may lead to something that might result in litigation. We don't know.
So the motion should be to authorize you to act on behalf of the commission to provide notice and to...
I would just say to follow town council's recommendation per the letter of December 2nd.
Okay, I have no problem moving that, but then I want to also add, outside of town council's letter, I want us to get some type of an estimate on the cost to complete the project, whatever it is that needs to be done.
I don't think we can do that yet, because that in and of itself is probably going to involve money, just because it's going to involve a number of as-built plans. I don't think there's necessarily, we need a scope before we can do that, and I don't think there's been enough file reviews.
This was the catch-22 that we came into with Foxwood.
Right. See, this is always...
We had a project that sat fallow for a long time. It
Yes.
was not complete, and it was not going to complete. And the people that lived there were left with this lengthy in disrepair and incomplete
But the trouble is...
private way, for lack of a better phrase. And the goal was, the town's goal was to get it accepted to
Right.
help folks out.
But that's exactly what happens. The town accepts these roads because the residents are paying property taxes. So the residents push the town to accept the road for services and so forth. The town accepts the roads, and we have situations like this where we have open orders of conditions that may or may not have adequate bond money to perform, because we've...
As does planning, and that was the same issue with Foxwood. But if you remember, we were asked to, and we held our nose as we jumped off the cliff, taking that leap of faith.
Yeah.
We had to seize the bond in order to get the money to
Yeah.
do the estimate,
Right.
in order to have the work done.
Right.
It was like ass backwards, but we had to do it that way.
Well,
I think
actually,
this
that-
is leaning that way.
But council's outlined the process, and they're the ones, sort of putting it out there. There is $130,000 in bond money, so this isn't like
For us, between planning and...
between planning and us, but most of it's us. I want to say planning has a very small portion of that.
This is where we had the house moved.
I know.
Yeah.
There are no houses to be
Recognized
moved.
a lot of it.
There may be walls to be moved. I think, if I recall from work that was done previous and identified in the file, that there are stone walls.
I'd be surprised if there was really a lot of work to do there. There was a lot. This was pretty
Right.
substantially
There's
completed.
as-built of the roadway
We
and of the
delivered a stern
stormwater.
message
Yeah.
on step one. And that was the first house they wanted occupancy on, and they were out of compliance, and
But I suspect when Jen and town council do their homework, I suspect that this is going to be, I don't think this is going to be as difficult to wrap up.
don't know if there aren't, for example...
There are no plans, right?
If there aren't
There are
bounds set...
plans.
Right.
No, if the bounds haven't been
Oh,
physically
right.
set,
Yeah.
I mean, they're like $500 a piece. There could easily be $80,000 worth of survey out
Right.
here for an as-built survey.
Think so?
Could easily be.
Yeah.
And that was what we faced on Foxwood. In the end, I think the town themselves said they were going to, basically waive the bound requirement except for the major corners down on Salem Street.
Yeah.
So again, we don't know if it's enough or not, but my point is,
Yeah, follow.
the town council walked us through the last one, and we really had to take a leap of faith. The town didn't have the money to commission the study,
Yeah.
the estimate, because we also didn't have a town engineer at the time. And having seized the bond, there was a little stomach for actually doing any more engineering.
Well,
They
that
just
also
wanted to-
involved
they
a
just wanted to-
stormwater, that involved a stormwater structure.
That wasn't working down
also, 'cause
below.
it wasn't built as designed.
Right, and I think we're probably, we have all the as-built. Some of the houses, I'm not, maybe a few jurisdictional ones, but the majority of the jurisdictional lots, we have as-built. Some of them we don't. And we know that was kind of how this all got started, was we were missing one of those as-built, and that owner was like, well, there's as-built for all this other stuff, how come not my lot? And why is this my responsibility if it got kind of 60% of the way there and then died,
How have the
literally or
homeowners on
figuratively, I'm
this,
not sure.
how have the homeowners been able to obtain financing?
A bunch of them have PCOCs, a whole bunch of
There's
them.
been, there's stuff.
The letter kind of outlines that, there's like,
I don't think it's, I mean, I've been out, I mean, go by this, the subdivision seems reasonable, but like I said, this decks, walls are not where they're supposed to be, but everything's pretty well.
But not necessarily attributable to the original developer. It could be the
some of it
homeowner who
might
did
not
that.
be. And I think that's a whole nother can of worms that the town has to decide how to proceed with. A lot of the as-bills we have are from like 1990 something. Do we use those as-bills to close out the project, or do we get new I mean, it's,
Like you say, in the meantime, somebody could have put an addition on the
but I
back.
think, like you said, until you
We can fix that.
kind of take the initial step, then
Yeah.
this just keeps going back and forth about how. And I
Right, so
think
right now you want to just follow, you want to
Follow
follow.
council's
Okay,
advice.
So that'll be, I'll offer that motion,
Yeah.
follow.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye,
Like,
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
got it.
All righty. Okay, so we have another discussion.
Well, we brought the sheets if anybody wants to register.
What's the date for the conference?
are they in our
March
piles? or-
5th.
Yeah.
Yep, everybody's got them.
March 5th, okay.
And I have a copy of the descriptions of the different, I emailed them all out too, if anybody wants to get back to me at a later date. We don't have to do this right now, but
You follow, Joe?
It's in this packet?
Small.
your sign-up is, I don't know if she copied you the
Okay, don't lose
descriptions.
my mind, I don't have it.
Oh, you know.
You have this sheet. I have the
I know what you're
descriptions.
talking about.
I have the descriptions. Donna didn't give you the
No
descriptions.
problem, you
No, you didn't print this, though. I have the descriptions.
can, you can email those, right?
Yeah, I did email them. Everybody's got
All right, I
them.
got it, all right.
I can email them again tomorrow and everybody.
Anything fresh in here?
There was some good, I definitely found a few I want to go to.
The filing
so-
deadline is, for this is when? Yeah.
When to get it in?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Still a
just
couple weeks,
risk
right?
getting knocked out of, not getting your first choices, but we could do it, yeah, if you want to get everything to me for the next meeting.
History has taught us you can go to any class you want.
Right, that's true. All right, so
Howard-
I'll send a
Howard taught us
reminder
that.
and everyone will get me those, or if you want to look at it after, we can do that.
All I have here is the fundamentals.
That's what Jen gave me.
Well, you can also put in, on that sheet, there's room to pick a workshop letter, and I have all the workshop numbers here.
Okay.
But you emailed that to us too, didn't you?
I did, yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Are you home?
Usually.
All right, well, if you go, I'll just do this, like we normally do, just do the same as him,
Okay.
all right?
Oh, it's all on me again.
Lou, same as
It's always
Joe,
on you,
and you
Joe.
usually do the same as me, and then we're all done.
It's easy because we all go to the same lunch.
Yeah.
You just have to pick your lunch.
I don't see this as complicated.
No,
I'll get Joe's and I'll do mine, and
Yeah,
then
there you go.
at least everyone here. Doug, you don't usually go, right, because you have another commitment on Saturday.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're in,
all right, well, so that's good.
we're in,
Now,
Mr.
you can't
Chairman.
go?
I can go, yeah.
He can go.
You
Yeah.
can go?
Yeah.
Okay. Good thing, we'll give it to Jen. Send them up to the-
She has my choices.
I have
She already has
all.
them, yeah.
Good.
She's got them.
Believe it or not, we have the bylaw regulation revisions.
Believe it or not. Jen sent it to me and says, we're gonna go over it tonight, and I said, I'm not gonna be ready. Then I only found out it was only 2 pages you wanted me to look at. So I did get a chance to look it over. And, does everybody have it? Or do you want to just go over it with what I went over?
I don't think I gave one.
I don't have it,
Did
no.
you email them? I think you emailed.
I emailed everybody, but I may not have made copies for everybody.
I don't have it, okay.
Oh, I brought copies, here.
Well, good, excellent.
Except
So
I need one, and I think I only
so
did
this is
3.
just
So-
this is just a review of like, one section. Everything else has already been discussed and put to bed.
Well, if you reference the stormwater bylaw, everything's laid out, and even some of what's here is reiteration. I think the only thing that's not is the first 3 bullets under 7.0, and she thought those were worth keeping.
For 3 bullets, I saw that, okay. So, when you, right in the overview, the project subject to the bylaw, so which bylaw, is it the stormwater bylaw?
No, this is, we're now talking, the by...
This is stormwater and flood control.
No, that bylaw is our bylaw. Project subject to the bylaw.
So it should be the North Andover town wetlands bylaw.
Correct.
I just didn't know which bylaw you meant.
Yeah, no, I don't ever refer to the other one as the bylaw, because that wording is reserved for the North Andover Wetlands
Okay,
Protection Act
second
bylaw.
bullet, just nomenclature, even just grammar. The analysis shall go to the nearest downstream, I just have the analysis shall extend to the nearest downstream upstream control point.
Okay, these are straight out of the old one, so, the
Yeah.
old regs.
That's okay.
Yep.
It's okay. The third bullet, I understand what she's getting at, and maybe vagueness is what she's trying to get at, but
She even
They-
added, again, it was in, and she thought it was something worth keeping.
I think it's worth keeping, but it leaves wide open to interpretation. What do we think is an alternative management technique, or what do we believe are unusual circumstances? They're both like so vague, so general. Not sure if we want to change it, but to me, I think that becomes a debate in the future.
I can ask her if she thinks there's better language for that.
Actually, I like it. That's a nice, easy
It's up
transition
to us to
point.
determine it.
For us, it's exactly right. What that does is that gives the commission the authority to determine what's important
So
and what's
7.1.
applicable.
The very first sentence in that paragraph. We go in talking about what the plan requirements are, and then we say after the fact, unless requirement has been waived. And I'm
I don't
just asking
think-
the question, do we ever intend to waive this?
No, I don't think so.
So I think
That's
we
why I
just-
left her comment in there, but I
I'd
don't think
straighten
it...
this out, because I don't think we ever would waive it. So that's what I wanted to take out. So, as I'm reading through this, I'm recognizing, shame on me, that it's taken me 18 months to review some of this. But literally, this week or next week, very late, it's February 1st, the
Right,
new MS4
NIPDs,
permit's
yep.
going to be out. They're not referring to it as NIPDs anymore, so I think we want to say NIPDs/MS4 for everywhere. 'Cause
Okay.
They're not referring it to as MS4. So the first bullet on the second page, it says the erosion sediment control plan shall be prepared in accordance with the requirements of section 8 of the North Andover Stormwater Management.
And that's a whole long, that's what we were trying to get away from, is dragging all that into here.
Dragging it all into here. Now, this is stormwater management flood control, including during construction measures as well as in a permanent sense.
Right.
The new permit is far more onerous than the existing. So I bet our compliance with the bylaw won't meet the federal regulation, which
Right.
includes treatment of storms
And
up
she
to 1
pointed
inch.
that out, but, so then we have to go and update our, but at least we'll only be updating one thing.
I think we could say it must comply with the stormwater management erosion regulations, comma, Mass DEP regulations, comma, EPA regulations, whichever is more stringent.
Yeah,
And
but that kind of leaves it to interpretation of the applicant.
Of what's stringent and what
Right.
isn't.
And also leaves applicants preparing plans to different regulations when they're applying in town.
So-
The goal was to try to get everybody, whether you're applying for subdivision, or you're applying for watershed special permit, or you're applying to be working toward the same regs. And I don't think the other groups will have the authority to reference those other regs.
So
But
my
we all,
recollection is that in our regulations, we actually tell them, for example, design storm 10, 25, and 50, right? It speaks nothing to the treatment of the first 1 inch of rain of every storm event.
What we need to do is change.
I think the new
change
stormwater regs
bylaw.
the new stormwater bylaw does.
Now, to change the stormwater bylaw.
I didn't print the whole thing, but I can,
Reference it.
because, and then the stormwater bylaw regs also reference,
The federal?
right, and then say, or the most recent data, or those
Okay, so
kinds of
that's what I
things.
want, that's what I didn't have when, okay, that's, as long as it's given us that.
That's why I
ability.
copied the bylaw and stuck it in there, the stormwater bylaw. I mean, and you can go back and look at that further. I just really wanted to get sort of, before I send something off to council to look at, that we're,
That's it, because my next comment is ditto what we just talked about, and that's the first bullet down at the bottom there, but
okay.
that's the same answer then. That's it, looks good otherwise.
Okay, and I can ask Lisa, she was clear too that things were going to change, and how was this or the stormwater bylaw going to have to change with it? So I'll see if she thinks what's in the bylaw is going to need to be updated or is going to change.
We had a pretty good bylaw. We are rewriting our entire bylaw.
Right.
Based on the new permit.
Right. So maybe we get this all set and then we decide we have to update the bylaw. Okay. I'll talk to her about that concern. So before we go and vote on them, I'll see if I can send them to council for further review. I'll talk to Lisa and then do that.
So motion to continue.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. So the enforcement, we have the enforcement on it, are we gonna just,
It was tabled,
extend it,
That's also
table it?
continued.
Okay, so continue. Motion,
including sugarcane?
no,
No.
I am, but he's not here. He was going to try to he said he could maybe get here before 8:30, but I don't think we're going to last till 8:30,
I
so
don't think so.
I'd say, but we have to continue these individually
All right,
because
so
they're,
242, 1261,
Stewart Street, I moved we continue that hearing till January 27th.
and 242, 1601. So we have a motion.
Doug, are you
Doug.
second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
One recused.
One abstention.
One
Yeah.
abstention.
Abstention.
And the 19 Couture Street,
Same motion.
same motion. Doug,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
No, one abstention.
And one abstention.
Yep.
Sorry.
301.
So 40 Sugarcane, we did get the monitoring report. We did get the as-built, and he is in compliance at the moment. We've also informed him that his order expires in March, and there's no way he's going to plant by then. So he's going to have to request an extension. And then that matter leaves the $500 fine to be discussed, but I know he wished to request some kind of either deferral or reduction in the fine, so I think it's best to continue until he can be present.
I'll move that we continue 242-1559 40 Sugarcane till January 27th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous. And all we have is a decision on Hartwell Road.
All right. So this was fairly standard. This was an addition. I think we agreed somewhere along the line that erosion control only needed to be around a stockpile if there was one, because this place is so flat. Also that there would be no monumentation of the no disturb zone, because that was going to let the entire thing grow into a knotweed forest. So then I put the bond at 1,000. And for the, I guess my next question was monitoring. Again, given the site is so flat and there's so minimal of work going on, I know we want monitoring, so I was going to recommend storm events of ½ inch or more.
How long is it going to take to do this project, do you think?
I mean, I would guess to final stabilization is anywhere from 4 to 6 months, probably. Depending on how quickly he moves.
I don't think it'd be that long, but that's,
I mean, 4 months, I guess, would be my ideal, but we all know how.
well, he's doing it starting in the middle of winter. That doesn't help.
Right.
It's going to be tough, yeah.
You know, digging the foundation.
It's with the landscape, and it's going to be the delay. The addition's straightforward.
Right.
And go fast.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to, what do you want for monitoring?
Storm event,
Storm event?
½ inch or more.
There.
I mean, it seems kind of silly for, you know, a small hole off the back of his house to be
Right.
monitoring it all winter long. I mean, we don't monitor in frozen conditions anyway, but it seemed a little
Yeah.
over the
Plus-
top.
Plus it's,
I don't know if, is monitoring necessary for this project? I don't know that it is. It's a
I'd say
very
we don't
small-
ever waive it, regardless of how small the order of conditions, but, I mean, if we get a decent-sized rainstorm, I mean, we could up it to like 1 inch or more, which would put it at like this weekend storm.
Yeah, at least, this is a very small project. I would at least, I think I'd up the requirement just so that he doesn't have to be monitoring all the time, because it's a very small.
I agree. Thank you.
All right.
Should be fine. I mean, it's flat.
It's flat and it's
I mean,
small.
what do you want from monitoring? I mean, even on something small like this, I'd be satisfied with photographs after every storm, just send them to us, even by the
Oh, by the
contractor
owner?
or the owner. And that we reserve the right to require more stringent monitoring depending on the performance. Like we always do on enforcement anyway.
I'm inclined to agree.
So photos from owner after a half-inch event, and then,
Oh, 1 inch.
1 inch.
1 inch event?
1 inch event. We don't want to nitpick.
okay, and then with the,
We're talking rain, not snow.
right,
What's no?
and then
Easy now.
with the ability to require more if we find out there's issues. I did require monuments, but I required them at the property boundaries, so one on each end, allowing him to continue to mow the knotweed field. But that way, it'll also be clear that there is a resource out there.
It's like the Wild West in back there, isn't it? Everybody's on each other's land.
Yep.
It's an old neighborhood. It's,
It is.
those were all mill houses, when Mill Pond used to be a mill, before it became condos.
When there's nothing behind you, you keep going.
Like the beach.
So do we want the foundation as built? I mean, he'll be required to do that for building anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I'll keep that. No dewatering, so that's that.
Any questions? Motion to approve.
Straightforward. I move that we issue the decision as amended, 242, 160, was it 166 or was that typo?
1673.
167, it's a typo, 1673.
22 Hackaway Road.
Oh, do I have the wrong? Oh, yeah, we were waiting for the number, so the 7 is missing. Should be 73.
We have a motion and a
Second.
second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. And last but not least, motion to adjourn.
Wow.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.